Como presidente, quiero expresar de manera precisa que cada metro cuadrado del Canal de Panamá y su zona adyacente es de Panamá y lo seguirá siendo. La soberanía e independencia de nuestro país no son negociables. Cada panameño, aquí o en cualquier lugar del mundo, lo lleva en su corazón y es parte de nuestra historia de lucha y una conquista irreversible. Somos un país abierto al diálogo, hoy y siempre, a las inversiones y a las buenas relaciones, pero con la clara consigna que la patria está en primer lugar. Eso, para este presidente panameño, no es negociable.
This is my video update on this Monday afternoon, December the 23rd, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the poll coming out of Germany from Bild, the election poll numbers, which show Alice Weidel of the AfD with 24%. She is in first place according to this data from Bild. The European Union and the globalists, they are freaking out. You know, they are freaking out with this polling data from Bild. 24% for the AfD. BlackRock Merz is at 20%. The Pirate, he is at 15%. And Robert Habeck of the Green Party is at 14%. So is Germany going to pull a Romania? Are the globalists and the European Union, are they going to cancel elections in Germany? Actually, has a date been set from the German president? I know they were talking about February 23rd to hold the elections for the next chancellor. But I'm not sure if that date has been set by the president. Maybe he'll delay the date of the elections to give the globalists in the European Union, the German political elite, some time to figure out what to do with this surge from AfD. Wow. Alice Weidel at 24%. Big news. So Fico, the Prime Minister of Slovakia, was in Moscow yesterday, and he met with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, I talked about this in a video update from 2 days ago, and I mentioned how Serbian President Vučić had said in a statement that he had heard from a little birdie that Slovakia's prime minister is going to be going to Moscow. And sure enough, that is what we got. We got Fico in Moscow meeting with Putin. The readout from the Kremlin is very short, doesn't really say much about the meeting, doesn't say anything at all, really. And we're being led to believe, though I'm sure they talked about this, I'm sure this was part of the agenda, but we're being led to believe that this meeting was mostly about the energy dispute that Slovakia has with Zelensky, the Green Goblin, with the transit of gas from Ukraine to Slovakia, as well as the fact that, according to Fico and according to Slovakia, Zelensky is also lobbying the European Union to do away with Russian-powered nuclear power plants using Russian technology, of which I believe Slovakia has 4 nuclear power plants, which are of Russian tech, of Russian design, VV Russian nuclear power plants. I don't know much about nuclear power plants, but I just read that these are Russian designed. VVER in Slovakia has 5 of them, if I'm not mistaken. But the official narrative is that Fico went to Moscow to speak with Putin about this energy dispute and to see if something could be done. Nothing can be done. At the moment, what can Russia do? If Ukraine decides to stop the transit of gas, there's really not much that Russia can do for now. But I believe the real purpose of this meeting, actually, I think it's very, very obvious that top of the agenda was Project Ukraine, and Fico is cooperating with Orban, and they sense an opportunity now to resolve the conflict in Ukraine or to get to some sort of a deal or a ceasefire. And so Fico went to Moscow to discuss these things with Putin, in much the same way that Orban went to Moscow to discuss these things with Putin. We have Orban working with Fico, and I imagine that they're also speaking with the Trump team to see what they can do to wind down the conflict in Ukraine. I believe that was the real purpose of this meeting in Moscow between Fico and Vladimir Putin. So in Moldova, since we're talking about energy, in Moldova, Maya Sandu, from what Russian intel is saying, was freaking out about an energy crisis that could hit Moldova because Ukraine is going to stop the transit of Russian gas, and that Russian gas goes to Transnistria, to a big plant in Transnistria, and that plant then provides energy to Moldova, cheap energy, powered by gas, by Russian gas. And Zelensky is going to stop the transit of gas, and this is going to affect Moldova. They've even had to call, the parliament had to call an emergency because of this. And according to Russian intel, Maya Sandu, she flipped out during a meeting, and she was even talking about Moldova going after Transnistria, starting a war in Transnistria and just taking it over. I mean, she was really flipping out over what's happening, and she actually blames Putin for all of this. Can you believe it? She blames Putin for what could be a big energy crisis for Moldova because Zelensky refuses to transit Russian gas over Ukraine, and it's Putin's fault. Zelensky's refusing, but it's Putin's fault according to the information that we have on this meeting, which took place, and Maya Sandu was flipping out. Now Moldova can get electricity from Romania, but it's going to be much more expensive. Much, much more expensive. And this is going to drive up prices for the citizens of Moldova. And they're going to take out their anger on an already unpopular Maya Sandu. Remember, Sandu pretty much won the elections in Moldova because of the diaspora vote. The people actually residing in Moldova did not want her. So we'll see if she's serious about going after Transnistria. I don't think she is, but who knows? Maybe she gets the order from high above, which tells her, go ahead, go into Transnistria and start another front, open up another front with Russia, and then that will pull in Romania. And who knows, maybe they're getting that desperate. Maybe the European Union and the globalists are getting that desperate. Because Ukraine is losing really bad. Even Orban said in a statement yesterday as he was speaking to a radio or a TV channel, or on a radio show, M1 or MT1. He said that, listen to this quote. Here's an interesting quote from Orban. Europe has lost the conflict in Ukraine, despite attempts to deny it. Europe has lost the conflict in Ukraine. What an interesting choice of words from Viktor Orban, huh? Qatar is also threatening to cut LNG to the European Union. This is an interesting story. The European Union, in their green directive, they want to charge companies that don't fall in line with their green directive, whatever that is. They want to charge them 5% of their global revenue. Companies that are delivering energy to the European Union, 5% of their global revenue if those companies do not comply with the EU's green initiatives and green directive. And so what did Qatar say? They said, you know what? If you fine us 5%, we're providing a boatload of LNG to the EU, especially since you cut off Russian gas. We're providing a lot of LNG to the European Union. So the energy minister of Qatar said, if you're going to fine us 5%, because from what I understand, Qatar doesn't meet the EU's green directive, green initiative program, if you're going to fine us 5% of our global revenue, screw that. We're just not going to deliver LNG to you. That's what he said. And he said that, look, Qatar has contracts. There are contracts as dictated by the market to provide LNG to EU member states and EU companies. But we're going to find a way to get out of those contracts, because 5% of our global revenue being fined, 5% of our global revenue by the EU, doesn't make it worth delivering LNG to the European Union. The EU, man, what kind of decisions does the EU take? Who are these people that are running the European Union, man? Are they working in the best interest of the EU, or are they working in the best interests of I don't even know. I don't know whose best interests are they working for? Klaus, the globalists, the United States? Because the decisions that they take are absolutely bananas, man. Bananas, crazy. Crazy decisions from the European Union. So that's what Qatar said. Let's get back to Ukraine, Project Ukraine, and El País. They are reporting that, and El País has been pretty good with reporting on Project Ukraine, at least the Zelensky side of things. They have very good ties to the Zelensky regime, El País in Spain, and they are reporting that Trump sent a message to the Green Goblin, and he told the Green Goblin, look, it's time to think about peace and a ceasefire. So start thinking about a ceasefire, and you're going to have to cede territory. You're going to have to give up territory. That's what this message, actually, I think El País said this was in the form of a letter or something along those lines. But yeah, Zelensky, think about a ceasefire, and you're going to be giving up territory. That's what El País is reporting. That's what came from Trump. And Rutte, the NATO chief, he actually scolded the man in the green t-shirt. Yeah, he got mad at him. He got mad at Zelensky because Zelensky continues to make fun of the pirate. Rutte Butte scolded the Green Goblin because the Green Goblin makes fun of the pirate. There really is a clown world. There really is a circus. Yeah, so Rutte told Zelensky, stop, cut it out. Stop making fun of the pirate. Stop being angry with the pirate. Stop trying to pressure him and push him for more weapons and more money and tourist missiles. And you should be thankful to Germany and to Scholz for providing so many weapons and so much money to Ukraine and to your regime. How about that bit of news, huh? Rutte standing up for Schultz. And Schultz the other day was in an argument with Duda. Everyone's fighting. Everyone's fighting in the EU. Everyone is freaking fighting. It's like a soap opera, the drama that takes place in the European Union. So Trump posted on Truth Social, but he also said it during a speech that he made the other day as well, about how the United States needs to, what did he say about Panama, the Panama Canal? Did he actually say the United States needs to take the Panama Canal or get the Panama Canal back? Or to start negotiations on the fees? One second. Here's the Truth Social post. The Panama Canal is considered a vital national asset for the United States due to its critical role to America's economy and national security. If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to us in full and without question. To the officials of Panama, please be guided accordingly. And the reply from Panama, the president of Panama, was, every square meter of the Panama Canal belongs to Panama and will continue belonging to Panama. U.S. vital interest. It's a U.S. vital interest. Now, Carter, he gave the Panama Canal to Panama. The U.S. built the Panama Canal, but Carter gave the canal to Panama, I believe for, is it true that he gave it for $1? I don't know. Maybe that's not true. But yeah, it's been operated by Panama ever since, and they charge fees to pass through the canal. And obviously Trump, as he always does, I find it amazing that people still haven't figured out Trump's tactic. They get triggered with these posts from Trump. Very provocative posts, but his technique is always to take a maximalist, a crazy, sometimes a provocative, a crazy position right ahead of negotiations. And then, of course, he's going to negotiate, and they're going to find a deal. They're going to find a fee structure with Panama that is beneficial to the United States, or that Trump feels is beneficial to the United States. This is the tactic that Trump always uses. But the president of Panama, it's understandable. He has to come out with a statement, and that was his statement that he put out in response to Trump's post on Truth Social. He also said it during a campaign speech as well. But he's looking at the shipping lanes. Trump is looking at the shipping lanes and the trade routes for the United States. That's what's concerning him. That's why he also said that the United States should buy Greenland. Denmark should sell Greenland to the U.S. Shipping lanes. That's what it's all about. He actually said this in 2019 as well. It's not the first time that Trump talks about Greenland, to be honest, but North Atlantic shipping lanes. Now that the ice caps are melting, Trump has his eye on everything going on up in the North Atlantic. So will Denmark sell Greenland? Greenland right now, from my understanding, it's an autonomous territory of Denmark. And Trump threw this in there. He threw the whole Greenland thing in there. He threw this statement about Greenland in a bigger post where he announced the ambassador to Denmark. So he writes a post on Truth Social announcing the new ambassador to Denmark. And then he writes in the post in Truth Social, what did he say here? For purposes of national security, once again, national security, those words, national security and freedom throughout the world, the United States of America feels that the ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity. That's what he put in the post, talking about his appointment of ambassador to Denmark, Ken Howery. as the choice for the United States ambassador to the Kingdom of Denmark. Vital national interests. That's what concerns Trump. So he's going to negotiate with Denmark on Greenland. What do you guys think? Anyone from Denmark? Let us know in the comments down below. How do you see this? What is Trump up to? What is he looking for from Denmark? What is he looking for from Panama? Anyone from Panama watching this video, let me know. Let everybody know, what do you think Trump is up to? No doubt he's looking at trade and the shipping lanes and stuff like that, but how do you think all of this is going to resolve? I believe it's going to resolve in negotiations. Negotiations where Trump is going to negotiate the best possible deals for the United States. So that was interesting news from Trump. The Guardian is reporting that Ukraine, going back to Ukraine, I'm a bit all over the place today. Going back to Ukraine, the Guardian is reporting that air defense personnel is being moved to infantry in Ukraine. What does that tell you? Tells me that their air defense systems are done. They're not operating, they're not working. And it tells me that their infantry is also being annihilated by the Russian military. And so they need whatever people they can find to send them to the front lines. And this is the Guardian reporting this. They have an article with the title, Ukraine faces difficult decisions over acute shortage of frontline troops. Depleted army is increasingly made up of older men, but Zelensky is reluctant to lower mobilization age from 25. There's that mobilization age again. Reluctant to lower the mobilization age. There are reports which claim that Zelensky is telling the collective West, I will lower, especially the Biden White House, I will lower the mobilization age to 18 if you give me more money and more weapons. There are those rumors which claim that this is what Zelensky is after, money and weapons. If he gets money and weapons, then he will lower the mobilization age. But a Ukrainian MP actually said this about a month ago. Bezuglaya, I believe is her name. She's the very outspoken Ukrainian MP. She said, and she's been proven right now, that air defense personnel are being moved as they're being moved to infantry and being moved to the front line. And they're no longer operating the air defense systems. And Zelensky's been telling everybody that Ukraine casualties are at 30,000 or 43,000. That was the last number he threw out there, 43,000. If Ukraine's casualties were at 43,000, would they be doing stuff like this? Of course not. Would they be thinking about lowering the mobilization age? Of course not. Would the United States be pressuring them to lower the mobilization age? Of course not. So that was the article from The Guardian. And what else do we have to talk about before we get into a clown world? So Politico ran an article yesterday. This article came out yesterday on Romania after all of the reporting from snoop.ro, which revealed that the PNL, they were the ones that were actually behind the Georgescu TikTok campaign, the TikTok surge, Chinese-owned TikTok surge of Georgescu. It wasn't the Russians, it was actually PNL in a messed up, botched social media campaign. After all of this was revealed, which I talked about in my video update from yesterday, Politico puts out an article with the title, How Putin Won the Romanian Election. Voters on NATO's eastern flank were already ripe for Moscow's manipulation after decades of misrule. And in this article, they don't talk at all about PNL, Johannes, the Pied Piper strategy, which the Democrats and Hillary Clinton used in 2016, which the PNL in Romania tried to use during these elections, and it backfired on them, and Georgescu surged to first place. They didn't talk about any of that. Instead, they run with an article, it's Putin's fault. Putin took over the elections in Romania. So what they're going to do is they're just going to, the Collective West media, they're just going to bury this story from snoop.ro. They're not going to talk about it. They're not going to report on it. I actually did a search to see who's actually reporting on this from the big mainstream media publications, New York Times, BBC, Washington Post, Politico, all of these big publications. The only one was Politico with the article that I talked about yesterday, where they branded everything that happened in Romania with PNL as a hijacking. They didn't want to say that they were the ones that were actually manipulating and meddling in TikTok, Chinese-owned TikTok. They instead branded it as a hijacking. These guys, man. But yeah, New York Times, WAPO, BBC, last I checked, nothing. They didn't report on this story at all. And they're not going to. Politico also put out an article with the title, Powerful Consiglieri Run von der Leyen's Commission, EU Transparency Chief Says. Emily O'Reilly says she was never at ease with members of the president's cabinet who are intelligent people, but not elected. I wouldn't go so far as calling them intelligent people, Emily O'Reilly. But no, seriously, Emily O'Reilly, she was one of these commission high-up officials. For 11 years, she's been working at the EU in the commission, and she claims that she's never been able to get a meeting with von der Leyen. They've never really been able to talk and to discuss what's going on. She's in charge of transparency, and from Ireland. And she basically says that there's no way to communicate with von der Leyen, to meet with her. And the whole commission is run by a group of shadowy consiglieri, using a mafia term. Using a Godfather mafia term, consiglieri is what she's saying. She's leaving in February, by the way, so that's why she can come out and reveal all of these things. We've got tools. We've got tools. That is the famous quote from Ursula, huh? Ursula and her consiglieri. Ursula van der Godfather? I don't know. Van der Mafia? Ursula van der Mafia? I don't know. Interesting choice of words, though, huh? Equating the commission to a mafia organization. And that's coming from someone who has been working in the commission, trying to work with Ursula for 11 years. And this is being reported by Politico. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's do some clown worlds and we'll wrap this video up. I feel like I have one more story, but I can't quite remember. Oh, I know what it is. In Serbia, big protests. 100,000 people turned up in a protest in Serbia, and they're protesting the collapse of the canopy. I believe was it at a train station where a canopy collapsed on November 1st, and it killed 14 people and injured a lot of other people, and people got out onto the streets, and they're demanding from Vučić. They're demanding that something happen. They want to know what happened with the canopy. How was it constructed? Is anyone going to answer for this? Is there going to be a transparent and open investigation? People are very upset with what happened. Vučić has been trying to frame this as some sort of regime change or color revolution, but I don't know. I'm not in Serbia, so I don't know, but I'm just going to take a guess from the images and photos that I've seen. people have been trying to try and hijack these protests in a way. I mean, I've seen photos of people trying to bring in EU flags to this protest. And I've seen Serbs at this protest take those EU flags and tell those people to buzz off. We're not having any of that. So I can't say this is, to me, it looks legit. This looks like a legit protest. This doesn't seem to be any type of regime change or color revolution. But I would not be surprised if the EU and the globalists do try to hijack this. But I don't think they're going to be successful, because it looks like the protesters are very well aware at what the globalists might try to do. And whenever they see EU flags, they're kicking them out. At least that's what I've seen from the images that I've seen floating on X and on Telegram. But I could be wrong about this. As I said, I'm not in Serbia on the ground. So these are just my thoughts on what's happening from the images that I've seen. Let's do some clown worlds. The EU is going to prepare a 16th sanctions package. 16. They just approved 15, and now they're ready for the 16th sanction package. And take a guess when they're going to time it. They're going to time the release of the sanctions package to coincide with the anniversary of the special military operation, or as the collective West calls it, the unprovoked, brutal, aggressive invasion from Russia. Special military operation or unprovoked, aggressive, brutal invasion of Russia, depending on which side you are. They're going to time the announcement of the 16th sanctions package for February 24th, I believe is the date that they want to announce this. It's like a type of virtue signaling, isn't it? It's not going to do anything. It's not going to make a difference in the conflict. It's not going to hurt Russia. But the EU elite, they want to flex. They want to flex and show that they still support Zelensky for as long as they can. For as long as they can. So that's news, the sanctions package. We have Al-Jolani. He was meeting with the Turkish foreign minister the other day, and he's actually taking a lot of meetings now as the new, I don't know, what is he, the new president of Syria, the new leader of Syria. I don't know what he's crowned himself as, but he's now wearing a tie. He's actually wearing a suit and a tie now. It's not only a coat, a blazer, and a dress shirt. He's now graduated to a suit and tie. That's Al-Jolani. And finally, we have this story from Texas. U.S. Congresswoman missing for 6 months, found at dementia care home. She has been missing for 6 months, but she is still representing Texas in Congress. And 6 months, she has been hidden away at a dementia care home. The name of this congresswoman is Kay Granger. Kay Granger. And the Dallas Express actually tracked her down at this dementia home. They interviewed doctors, and the doctors confirmed that she's been there for 6 months. They confirmed her illness. The Dallas Express then contacted her staff, and they asked her staff, well, if she's been in here for 6 months at this dementia care home, how is she voting for stuff? How is she voting for legislation? How is she voting for various bills? Just the other day, the spending bill, the big controversial spending bill. How did she vote for this? And the staff did not get back to the Dallas Express. What a bizarre story. Yeah, the U.S. has to do something about this. A lot of very old senators and congressmen and congresswomen who really should not be serving in Congress and voting on critical bills and legislation. They should retire. This is a big problem in the United States. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. It's starting to rain now in Nicosia. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like what I am wearing in this video update, which is this awesome Duran bomber jacket. I will catch everybody tomorrow. Take care.